Boom! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Perfect Bag. My name's Clint, and I have two things for you today. A one-take bag review, as per usual, and an interesting discussion. Well, I think it'll be interesting. We'll see what y'all think. You'll have to let me know. All right, so what are we looking at? We're looking at this. This is the Wexley Active backpack in X-Pack. This is a slate gray X-Pack backpack. X-Pack backpack. And we're going to do a one-take bag review. What's a one-take bag review? Thanks for asking. We're going to do a straight shot, no edits, no frills review, deep dive walkthrough, interior and exterior. We're going to go to camera number 2, which is the overhead cam, and get into all the nooks and crannies of this bag. You're going to know everything there is to know about this bag, as usual. And at the end of the walkthrough, you're going to get, as always, 2 things that I love about the bag and 2 things that could be better, along with the promised philosophical, maybe, discussion about, what is the topic? Dupes. Dupes. The dupes of hazard. The dupes of the bag industry. Why are we talking about that today? Well, Wexley is an example of a company that started out cloning or duping another brand. Air, specifically, AER from San Francisco. You know, I think Wexley would take issue with anybody saying that, and please, I'm not accusing Wexley of anything, because I'm going to go on to talk about dupes in general, and what are dupes in the fashion industry, and, you know, what are the lines? When does it cross a line? And, you know, how subjective is that line? Let's dig into it. So, this bag in particular, and this is the fourth Wexley bag that I've owned. I've owned the Sheldrake, the Stem, both minimalist backpacks, and then the Finley, which is a really nice laptop sling. And there's some things that this brand definitely has in common with Air. And there's some places where they've started to do their own thing and differentiate themselves. So, exterior, we've got AquaGuard zippers, we've got slate gray X-Pack, we've got a fairly nice harness, and we've got the signature, and this is an interesting piece for me to say, by the way, fidlock on the sternum strap, which is, you know, slightly annoying. I'd rather just have a Duraflex buckle. But anyway, back here, we've got this pebbled back panel, which is a Wexley staple, and I really love this. It feels like sitting in a Sharper Image massage chair from the 90s. You've got 2 other great things on this bag. The side handle here, which I'll show you again when we get into camera 2, and the top handle. These handles are fantastic, like really, really good, really well made, really, yeah, like them. YKK zippers, minimalist branding down here, and then a stretch bottle pocket holder, which seems too short. You know, I'll show it to you here in a second in camera number 2 as well. You do have a little transit card holder on the backpack strap, and another pocket right here that we'll talk about. But straps are comfortable, bag is comfortable. At the end of the video, as usual, you're going to see me modeling the bag. I'll put it on for your viewing enjoyment, so please look forward to that. Let's talk a little bit before we get into camera number 2 about dupes. So there's a lot of brands that kind of got their start inspired by other brands, and it's a fashion industry thing, but it's not just a fashion industry thing. You know, how different is Pepsi from Coke, as an example? Another example is the Mercedes G-Wagon, a Land Rover dupe that has since become something different. You could go on and on and on. You know, what was that terrible car from Chrysler? The PT Cruiser, and then Chevy made the HHR, which was clearly a dupe. And there's a million Lamborghini Urus dupes out there on the market. So every industry follows this pattern. You know, tech industry follows this pattern. There's a million knockoff apps in the App Store so it's a fine line. Now, what is the line at which a dupe becomes infringement on intellectual content or patent? Well, that's why we have courts, and courts work nationally and internationally, and you can sue. Recently, Lululemon sued Costco because they thought that the Kirkland signature brand stretchy pants were very similar to their stretchy pants, and that, infringed upon their copyright or intellectual property. So, as you think about, where is the line? In most cases, the line must be enforced in court, which is an expensive process. Some will do it, some will not do it. Some bag makers patent their developments. Some bag makers don't bother to. It's an interesting quandary. There's lots of brands out there. Is Sea Tactical a Go-Ruck clone, as an example? Is Wexley an Air clone? Is Air, in the early days, an Encase clone? There's a lot to think about, and there's a lot of knockoffs, and there's a lot of heavily inspired designs out there. And we're working in our industry with a tighter range than normal. The automotive industry, it's got to have 4 wheels that hit the ground. Do what you will from there. And you've got to work within the safety standards of where you're selling the vehicle. Backpacks have to be a container with 2 straps. They can't be larger than the average person's torso. So you've got a little bit of constriction to work with there. A crossbody bag can be a waist bag or a sling bag, etc. There's very little innovation beyond different types of closures, different types of fabrics, which, by the way, is innovation usually not from the bag maker, but from a fabric company. Most of the ways of wearing or ways of opening a bag, they kind of been done. And complex bags, and I'll give you one more example that I really like, and then I promise camera number 2. So there's one of my all-time favorite laptop backpacks is from Urban Armor Gear, which is a cell phone holder company, gear protection company. That's probably the better way to say it. It's the standard issue. I'm going to do another video on it really soon. Standard issue laptop backpack. It's not high quality, but the shape is totally unique. It's this weird cocoon egg silhouette. And about 5 years after they made that bag, Coat and Seal, do I pronounce that right? I don't know. I'm from Kentucky, y'all. Coat and Seal. It might be Cote and Seal, whatever. Really expensive bag company. Came out with their own, honestly, complete ripoff, or dupe, or inspired by. You can start to see where the lines get blurred. Maybe they even shared a designer. But Coat and Seals was $700, and Urban Armor Gears is $120. Another thread that I pull is, where is it? It's way too far away. But Harvest Label, there's a lot of kind of overrun with some of the design themes between Harvest Label and Porter and Yoshida Porter and Masterpiece, and because they've shared designers over the years. So you start to see that it's a fairly complex industry. And even some of those shared designers, there's also contract designers, folks who have bag companies now, but also used to design for larger companies. Some of the bags companies that we know now actually were rooted in Timbuktu, as an example, and then spread out to start different. So you're starting to see it's not as simple as that company's duping this company. I recently saw a commercial for Skechers, and it was a lady holding up a Hoka shoe. And she looked at the camera, she said, "These Hoka shoes are awesome, but you can buy this Skechers shoe," and she held it up, literally the same shoe with a different logo on it, for, $20 cheaper. Skechers, you probably should have gone further down to make it an appealing dupe, I think. But you start to see the pattern. Like, when is it okay? When is it not okay? Well, let me show you one that I think is not okay here in camera number 2. And I'd welcome your thoughts on this. But let's jump in. Camera number 2, we're going to dive into this bag, and I'm also going to show you when is a dupe a counterfeit. Let's do it. Here we are in camera 2 with this beautiful X-Pack bag from Wexley, W-E-X-L-E-Y. And also this. What is this? Well, I bought this off of Rakuten, and it is a Tumi Alpha Bravo Navigator series. You can see the Tumi brand here on the handle. You can see the trademark pebbled golf ball interior. You can see the Tumi leather tag here. And inside the front pocket, you can see the Tumi Finder tag, where you can register this bag as a new Tumi product. Yeah, really cool stuff. Except it's not. It's a counterfeit. This is a fake Tumi. And it is not subtly changing things about the bag to make it their own. It is not recognizably different in any way, shape, or form to the Tumi product. They are cloning exactly and counterfeiting the Tumi brand with the intent to fool the consumer into believing that they are buying a Tumi bag. Now this, I think, is an important distinction. The intention of whoever made this was to defraud the consumer and to, trade on the Tumi name for personal profit. Now, if someone had made a very similar bag to this and called it Adventure, and they had elected to put a tag on the side that said Adventure with a mountain, and the interior was orange ripstop, and the general shape was similar, and let's say they changed out this intricate webbing from the Tumi version for some standard moly. They certainly wouldn't have a Finder tag. By the way, I registered this counterfeit bag, and it did successfully register as a general tag. And then I went to Tumi customer service, and I showed them a picture of the bag, and I sent them the number, and I said, counterfeit, right? And they said, yep, counterfeit. So, yeah, you could be, I think, me personally, my opinion, heavily inspired by and make a similar bag to this and not cross the very obvious line that this counterfeiter crossed by intentionally defrauding the consumer and intentionally trading on Tumi's reputation and brand name. Not cool, counterfeiter. By the way, I'm just going to donate this backpack to Goodwill, and it's fine. Somebody will get a lot of use out of it, and yeah. So that's where that bag's going, FYI. Goodwill. All right. Now this is different, in my opinion. This is Wexley's logo. What do they have here? Well, they've got a plain X-Pack front. Now, what you can't do is say that Air with their City Pack has a trademark on a plain X-Pack front. Because if they did, I've got about 8 other bags that also infringe upon that intellectual property. So the idea of a rectangle in shape, the idea of a plain front in shape, it isn't owned by Air, it isn't owned by the Brown Buffalo, it isn't owned by Dan Matsuda, a rectangular backpack with a plain front is not a trademarkable thing. So let's keep going. This bag has stretch mesh side pocket for bottles. Interesting, but also not particularly good because they stopped short of this being a deep enough pocket. So more on that in our 2 and 2. By the way, if you like the bottle, they are available at my Etsy store. All right, so let's get into this thing first. Let me show you again this back panel. Love it. So we're starting to see Wexley doing some of their own signature things across their product line. Yeah, and you've got a little YKK zipper here, and inside, that's just where you put a transit card. Not too shabby. Very comfortable, by the way. The foam is good, and it feels, again, like is Sharper Image massage chair gonna work as a reference point? Maybe not. All right, up top you can see we've got these Hypalon branded zipper pulls. Wexley is not trying to be Air here. They're trying to be Wexley and trying to establish Wexley as a brand name that you care about and associate with quality. On the side, we've got, I want to take a minute and just look at these handles. Whenever I bag on bag makers and say, your handle sucks, this is what I actually want you to do. It's the same process as the Alpha 19er on the back of the bag. Just take a deep look at this, bag makers. This, in my mind, is the best kind of grab handle. It's a little tubular, it's cushioned, easy to grab. It's not sticking out, but it's easy to grab. There's plenty of space. They've got them on both the top and the side here, and they're just really nice to use. It feels substantial. It feels a little bit bigger than the bag needs, which is so much better than a little bit smaller than what the bag needs. But yeah, ideal handles, ideal handles. All right, to get to know this bag, I think it starts with this front pocket. And you're going to see that in the front pocket, you have quite a bit of organization. And there is some similarity to other bags on the market, but also some differences to other bags on the market. So what do you have up front here? You've got a stretch mesh zippered pocket. You can see stretchy, stretchy. I've tossed in a cord and some sanitizer. Easy to use there. That's the only pocket on the front. So let's flip this down. And then this front panel, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pockets and 2 pen holders. So in this front one here, this is a really nice size. It kind of drops to right here on the bag. We'll pull this out. I've got a large battery backup in there, and the other one I've clipped in my multi-tool and pocket knife. Up here, there's a zippered pocket, and in this zippered pocket, I've put in fidget toy and lightning cable. One device still that takes a lightning cable, just one. Super annoying. There's my wallet, and then Sharpie as always, and flashlight. Zippered pocket back here has a key leash in it. I think they envision this as a quick access pocket, which is weird because there's a quick access pocket and this is not quick access. So I'm not sure why the key leash is in there. It doesn't really make a ton of sense at all. All right, so we'll zip back up this main compartment and we'll go into the secondary compartment, which is the main compartment. And it's very confusing because I think using this bag, what I've discovered is this admin pocket actually has quite a bit of space. And so it functions more as a main compartment to me, and this back compartment functions more as a tech area, even though most of the volume is actually back here. This pocket up top here is a little quick access pocket that hangs down like a flappy doodad, like an elephant ear, into the main compartment. I put my AirPods in there and a little USB-C. All right, get out of the way. You can see in here, we actually have another pocket. Let me flip this over. Up top here, a zippered pocket and two more stretchy slip pockets. I actually ran out of things that I put in pockets when doing this. You know, you could put a first aid kit in here. You could you could do whatever. I mean, there's just a lot of pockets. This is my AirPods Max. I tossed them down in there. This is big enough for a sweater, a jacket. Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good back here. The pocketing is nice. Some of it, most of it. Then over here, you've got a tablet sleeve, little branding, and then you've got your laptop section. Yeah, I should say on the back as well, there is a hidden and looks to be RFID blocking passport wallet. Passport pocket right on the back there, with a pokey zipper that could, if it doesn't sit exactly right, poke you in the back a little bit. All right, time to talk about this thing. My 2 in 2. Two things that I really enjoy about this bag. Number one, all Wexley bags. And if you go back and look at my other Wexley reviews, oh, by the way, right here, same thing, cuts off about here. So hidden pocket, unnecessary. But back panel, straps, very comfortable bag to carry. I do enjoy that about just about every Wexley product I've ever owned. You can go back and check out the reviews. I wax on about the feel of this back panel. And I would add to that, we'll just add these handles are baller. They're not unique. They're not special to Wexley, but I do like them. They walk that line in between the super plush cushioned handles, which are just a little bit too much sometimes, and the just piece of nylon handles, which cut into your hand a little bit if you have to carry the bag for a while. Yeah, good stuff. All right, second thing that I love about this bag is a specific type of pocket. So I don't love all the pockets on this thing, but these pockets down here and the same duplicated pockets down here, I just love. That's my absolute favorite. Like a 5x7 pocket with elastic, stretchy. It'll swallow up a MacBook cord. It'll swallow up a battery backup. It'll swallow up just about any rectangular shaped device that you carry and own. Yeah, it is fantastic. EDC pouch, no problem. First aid kit, no problem. Yeah, those pockets in particular, just absolutely love them. And the stretch mesh is good too. The stretch mesh pockets are really good too. All right, two things that could be better. The first one is this bottle pocket is just comically small. So I don't understand why. So I know, maybe we should do the other one first. We'll do the other one first. This should have been the main compartment. They should have put a little bit more volume in the front of this. And back here, this should have been a tech pocket with some pocketing. So imagine if they had taken this 5 inches of space and put it up here, and you'd have a little bit more to work with. I don't like that the main compartment here feels like a tech compartment. I also hate this. Like, you don't need this. Bag makers, anytime you are fixing to drop a little elephant ear pocket into your bag and it's just going to be floating there, please don't do it. That is so terrible. And then you got to move this thing out of the way to get to this pocket. Like, ugh. So this pocket sucks. I really wish this had just been a tech pocket back here, and this had been the main compartment with just about 3 inches more of volume over here. And then if they had done that, then they could have zipped this one a little bit taller and gone with about 3 more inches on the bottle pocket. So it's close. I actually really like this bag. I think it's really fun. This is my favorite Wexley backpack. My favorite Wexley bag is probably still the Finley Sling, but this is definitely my favorite Wexley backpack that I've used. I like the stem, I like the sheldrake. I think this one's a little bit better. I really like the more modern pocketing. The whole vibe of this bag feels a little bit less formal, a little bit more bouncy, a little bit more fun. I also like the white interior. Yeah. So there's a lot to like about the bag. Now, you'll have to let me know. You might not be sold on my take on dupes, but I think a lot of companies start as a dupe of something else, and then they move and grow from there. Pick an industry. I can give you an example. And sometimes those dupes stay dupes. And they don't have a ton of respect or loyal customers, or people are just buying it because it's cheap. And there's a ceiling on that. But frequently, those companies that start out heavily inspired by something else go on to, create something special for themselves, a brand identity, and, start iterating on the theme. Maybe they started out with tactical backpacks or commuter backpacks, and they started because it's a risk to start a new company. They started with something that they knew would have mass appeal, and then they started iterating and creating in the space. Might be a bad take, but I think the world has seen 1 billion companies start out by copying something else, being heavily inspired by something else. When is it not a good look? When you are, I'm looking at you, fake it to me, when you are trading on somebody else's brand, when you are infringing upon copyrighted material or patented material, or when you are intentionally defrauding your consumers. You got to stop. You can't. I'll give you one more example. Look at this. I have seen this bag, this shape, this feel, this setup from literally, and I literally have one in my closet right now from another company. And there was a collaboration bag not too long ago. What company was that? I can't remember. But that made a silhouette just about identical to this. Who is this by? Well, this is by my favorite bag designer, Koichi Yamaguchi. And he took this silhouette and he changed out some materials, and he added different zippers, and he added some different touches. And I'll do a full review on this bag, but it's from Out of the Blue, which was a private label Japanese brand. And this is insanely good quality. Take everything that frustrates you about some of those tactical bags sometimes that don't do, they're interesting, they're good looking, but when you get your hands on them, they're not that special. This one is special in every way. I can't wait to talk to you about it. But is this a dupe? Yeah, honestly. Koichi Yamaguchi is one of the most inspired designers that I have ever had the pleasure of digging into their work. But even he, took a really cool design that worked really well and did his take on it. All right, I guess I'll leave it at that. So, a viewer asked me recently, why do you support brands that are clearly heavily inspired by other brands? And I guess this is one of the answers to that. I think that there are ways to pay homage, do your take on, do your version of somebody else's bag without ripping it off completely, and remaining true to your own identity and yourself. And there are other YouTube channels out there that now, have one take bag reviews, like whatever. At the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, is it a great product? Do I believe in the people who are making it? And then you've got this kind of thing you need to do as a consumer. Do I have a problem with this company or these people, ethically, etc.? For example, do I want a bag that's made in the USA? Do I want a bag that's recycled content? Do I want a bag that I know the person who sewed the bag? That sort of thing, okay? You, as the consumer, hold 90% of the power here. The other 10%, courts, laws, legal systems, okay? The consumer can decide, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. It's too close to this. Or, you know, I am forever Backstreet Boys, and I'm never going to listen to NSYNC because NSYNC is clearly a dupe of Backstreet Boys. But some people are Team NSYNC. What can you do? All right. I have gone on long enough. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed seeing that Wexley bag. I think it's really good. And it's on sale, like I said. That's, you know, one of the reasons why I wanted to get it out there. They're probably going to clear out that bag and move along. But we are going to get into the territory, probably 40 years from now, where just about every combination of pockets and zippers has been tried. That will come eventually. We are still within the first 100 or so years of backpacks in the modern age. And so we will get to a point where just about everything has been tried, and then it'll be impossible to make something truly new. It'll just be, well, potentially it'll just be Taco Bell, and they'll just be shuffling around the ingredients to repackage and give us something that feels fresh. I like Taco Bell. I'm kind of hungry, but it's only 9:45. My Taco Bell doesn't serve breakfast anymore. All right, that's it. Y'all, we'll see you next time. Thank you, as always, for the love and support. Truly, truly mean it, and truly thankful for everything you do for the channel. If you're looking for ways to support the channel, hop in to the video description. There's links and all that jazz. See you next time. Time to wear this bag. Let's do it.